Right, everybody, welcome back to the 1% podcast. I am excited for this one because I've definitely been putting it off for ages. And I think we've had this in the books for like 2-3 months. And I'm shit, pretty much, guys. So apologies. But I'm really excited for this one. But I've got Azri on the podcast. Azri Zakariya. Did I get it right?
That's right. Yeah.
Sick, man.
All good.
If anyone doesn't know you and things like that, just kind of, I don't know, like, what do you do if you got in a taxi and someone says, "Hey, what do you do?" How would you sum that up?
It's a good question. So I spend majority of my time running the online coaching business, which is basically a very time-consuming task. We have a team of 16 people now, and I'm in my final year of med school, so I graduate this year, and I train as most people do as well. So
Holy
that's
shit!
the majority of my life right now.
Oh, okay. So cool. I'm gonna go back a little bit. High school. Where are you based? What was your kind of upbringing through kind of the high school years and things like that? What was family life like and things like that?
Yeah, so I grew up in England. So I'm originally from Sri Lanka. I'm born in Sri Lanka. Just been in England for my whole life, really, since I
Right.
was two. So yeah, grew up in England, and I moved to Bulgaria actually for uni. So I've been in Bulgaria for a fair bit, back and forth, and I hope to relocate to Dubai at the end of this year as well. So standard route, as
Yeah,
most
yeah,
people seem to have taken as well. And
yeah.
yeah, so high school, I did well in school, did okay in school, I guess. I don't know what well is or good is nowadays. There's
Mate, it
some
doesn't
freaks
matter.
of nature out
You're in med school. It doesn't matter. It's fine.
there. Yeah, no, I done well in uni, so that's good. But yeah, no, it was generally how I started out in the fitness side of things, I guess, is, I was very, very skinny starting out. I was around 58 kilos, 5, 9, 10, I reckon. And basically just decided to gain as much size as possible. Went way too far, went up to around 97 kilos at my
Oh, fuck.
heaviest. So yeah, that was disgusting amounts of put on size quickly, but disgusting
Bet.
amounts of food. And that was a 3-4 year long process of just stacking on size. And then it was about like a 4 or 5 month cut, lost around 21 kilos, a lot of size, but also a lot of muscle on the way. Just didn't do everything right, but
Yeah.
you learn. But the main thing is it was just the learning process around actual discipline, habits being built, and then you apply that to everything else. It compounds, and that's where the whole business side of things is. It's just work to build the leverage to learn as much as you can possibly learn, and then basically
Amazing.
grow from there.
Where in where in kind of the UK is kind of your family base now and things like that?
It's in Dean's Hangar. So I don't know if you know where that is. It's near Milton Keynes, like half an hour from.
Okay, so like Midlands.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, nice. And then so you kind of did your high school years there. When did you get into the gym side of things? When was that kind of?
I was about 16, 17, I reckon, where I was like, okay, I'm smaller than everyone else, built like a twig. So
Yeah.
I just went all the way for the next 3-4 years onto the other end.
Okay, sick. And then you probably did that kind of 4 years of growing all the way through university, right?
Correct. Yeah. So I was fat like during uni because at that point I was yeah, it wasn't just size in terms of muscle mass, it was just plain fat. So yeah, it was way too far.
And obviously at uni, what did you, I'm guessing you studied some medical medicine, something like that at uni. What did you study at uni?
In school or in school, in uni it's medicine. The
Okay, yeah.
degree is called medicine, and then you graduate, you become a doctor. So I hope to specialize in either sports medicine or plastic surgery, one of the two. But most likely we'll take a year out before I go into specialization after uni to focus on the business itself. So
Okay, so I'm just trying to break down like because med school's a bit different, isn't it? So you go university, you do your standard 3 years.
No, so it's just, for me, it's just straight 6 years. It's usually 5 years in England, but in Bulgaria it's six. It's just extra theory.
Right.
So
Okay.
yeah.
Why Bulgaria?
Yes, so I didn't actually apply in England. Should have. I didn't apply it. So I was either going to wait a year, and then in England you have to actually, first of all, not just wait a year, but you also have to go through every single process. And then I just decided to apply late in Bulgaria. My cousin was already here, so just came straight here, and then
Right.
been quite a lot more intensive here in terms of theory, though, like compared to England.
Well, I guess it's
From
already a
what I've
year's difference, right? So, and I know how intense. Well, I know how intense I've heard other people go through med school, and I know how intense it is with 6 years. So I can't imagine how full on it is cramming that all into an extra five.
Yeah, so yeah. So Bulgaria is a very, very theory based. It's heavy on the theory side of things in the first 2 years. So it's basically filtered out about half our entire year at the start. So
Whoa.
about, I think there's only about 20% of us left now in 6 year that started, probably.
I heard it. I actually listened to a podcast the other day, and it was the same, but it was dentist to be a dentist sort of thing.
Yeah.
And apparently, they do things just to do that. Apparently, they make you sit exams, or they make you do certain things just to eliminate you, or just to be like, if you can't do this, then there's actually no purpose for it. But they do that just to eliminate you. I'm guessing med school do similar things to that.
Pretty much. I feel like it is. It is definitely seemed like it. So
Shit, that's. I think
yeah,
that's
it's
quite
disgusting.
cool, man. Because I think obviously, when did you start the fitness business and things like that?
Around second year in. So it was funny. Like it was basically bang in the middle of exams where I was like, okay, COVID hit as well, and I was like, I should be doing something, and it was like I've got a bit more free time now as well, and yeah, no, went all in, and then it was trying to figure every single thing out yourself, right? It wasn't just in the
Yeah.
fitness business, so I was heavy in the trading space as well. So that went really well before I exited, and then the fitness side of things, it was just trying to figure everything out, and then did well myself just by learning everything you can possibly learn. And then I was like, okay, what do I not know? Just put everything back into a mentor basically about my first month or two in, I think. So, and then just a lot more, kept getting. Then, 2 years after is where we met as well with Charlie as well, next mentor as well.
Yeah.
And yeah, in between, it was just learning everything I could possibly learn, chuck everything back in the business and keep growing. And then it was just, you learn to remove yourself from the idea of risk in the hopes of trusting in yourself with how much you actually know, kind of thing. And then when you have a lot more confidence, I feel, when you know what you're going to do is quite an educated decision. That's
Yeah.
where I was able to kind of remove the idea of fear from a lot of my decision making, kind of thing. So yeah.
Yeah, man. No, I love that. And that's honestly like the biggest thing, I think. I think the nice thing that kind of, I don't know, like obviously it's very different. Like you're smart. I'm not. Like so I think the nice thing is that fitness teaches you, or just training alone, like when you go through the process of being disciplined, showing up and showing up and showing up, somehow on a day to day, it doesn't feel like you're getting anywhere. But then all of a sudden, you're like, fuck, I can see it and I can feel it and things like that. And that's kind of the same with taking risks. You're like, and it's all, do you know what I mean? It's kind of the same where you're just like, fuck it, I've got like nothing to lose. Like, I know if I chuck myself in it and do it, it'll work, because that's the same how it worked with fitness. It's kind of the same with like, I think that's why people get loads of shocked when like I don't know, professional footballers and all this sort of stuff, they do have really successful businesses, or ex-sportsmen have good businesses, because fitness teaches you to do the simple things in business. Do it even if you don't want to do it. Be consistent as fuck. Be disciplined. Set routines. Do eat your meals, whatever that is, and those little basics of business. So, and obviously,
Mhm.
I think with your knowledge as well and things like that, like it just skyrocketed things, man. So that's crazy. But so you got 16 kind of staff and things like that working under the coaching brand now.
Yeah, we're growing, so we're trying to fill in about 3, 4 positions right now. So it's growing rapidly, which is where a lot of the stress comes about as well.
Yeah.
So as you can imagine, people are a bigger thing to manage than you can imagine. So we have across the departments about 6 in lead gen, for 7 in 6 or 7 in coaching. I need
Yeah.
to check, and then few in admin, few in sales as well. So I'm trying to basically fill in a few more sales positions, and then trying to pull up some of the current members into management as well. So it's I'm kind of overseeing a fair few too many people. But yeah, no, you're right, 100% with everything. It's like I think the idea of consistent work when you don't feel like doing the work in just the quantity of work that's actually required to initially build leverage for you to put everything back into the business again and again is so underrated. So about the first year or two with was just me, right? So it was just me running everything. So that was about 16 to 18-hour days. So it's where, everything takes a toll. So sleep, health, everything that you would think that you should be maintaining as well, but it slips quite easily as well. So yeah, no, everything when med school is stacked on top of this as well does it gets very, very slippery, and it gets to a dangerously fastly collapsing path, which is where I was like, okay, I need to really figure out what's actually going to work for the long run to actually scale. So that's when you have to like reassess exactly what you're doing before you put in more and more work. So yeah, that's was what actually happened. It wasn't always like just growing teams. It was just, at the
Oh
beginning, it was just
no.
like, yeah, no,
Oh, 100%.
yeah,
I think that's the nice thing about every business, no matter what it is, it always starts off with a CEO, right? There was we watched the Nike, was it movie or something like that? It was a Nike movie that came out, and obviously he was just selling shoes out the back of his car and things like that. And obviously how it's grown into obviously Nike that we have today is it's nuts. And like everything starts from that baseline. I think there's those good pictures of Amazon, isn't there? Like 30 years ago, he sat in his garage with a computer and stuff like that. And it's just like everything starts from an individual and everything starts from someone with an idea and they action that idea and you're like, oh fuck, this is working, this is a problem, because you don't expect it to work.
exactly.
Then it just snowballs as well. I think the biggest thing that I'm interested about for you is like, how do you, so you got 1 year left at med school, yeah?
Yeah, like 6 months, I'd say. Yeah,
Yeah. Shit, fair play.
yeah.
How do you how do you juggle that day, right? Like you said, obviously theory's massive, so I'm guessing you're in lectures a lot of times throughout the week, the day, and things like that. What does your kind of day look like, if that makes sense?
Yeah, so 6 years more clinical, so it's just hospital work. Third to 6 years, mainly just hospital work. First few years of lectures, kind of
Okay.
over and done with. This year specifically isn't as intense with your actual commitment because it's actually all the exams in the previous year's stacked. So it's mainly just studying revision kind of thing. Just got a big exam out of the way, so just one left now, and that was huge. So in my day, let's take the past week of exams, it was getting up extremely early as well as before 5 a.m. Not that not that you should. There's definitely times where I'm just up till 2, 3, 4 a.m. as well, and then have a dreadfully late start today as well. Um, first 3 or 4 hours is mainly as much intense deep work that requires thinking kind of thing
Yeah.
as possible before it's the next 2 hours or so of repetitive tasks. So it's like 4 to 5 45-minute pomodoros kind of thing with around 10-minute splits, and everything's tracked in my days, also daily, everything's time tracked as well, so spreadsheets. So I try and split my day into like three, so around 3 8-hour days kind of thing. So first 8 hours is usually a lot of more of the intense work between
When you say kind of
six to
that
two.
deeper work in the morning, is that business based for your business or like uni based as well?
Depends on exactly what needs to be done. So I kind of
Okay.
task that out. If it is where I have to focus on the revision side of things for uni, then that will
Right.
take up the
Okay.
entire 8 hours. But
I'm with you.
um, yeah, honestly, it depends on the time of the year as well, what's actually being done, but usually more business based as well, because
Yeah.
uni you can get away with stacking like 2-3 hours a day, and then you will learn everything you need to do, and it's just repeating what you learn kind of thing. So that's just if you do it on a long enough time frame, it's the same thing. There's only so much you can learn technically.
Yeah,
So
true.
yeah, so it's like, especially for 6 years, right? So business is where like all the problems actually come up in systems, in team management, hiring, everything else, as well as the actual day-to-day tasks, which you kind of need to be overlooked by the people that are doing it to make sure stuff's done right. And
Mm.
then after that, around 2, we have our team meetings. So basically team meetings, one-to-one meetings with the team. And then after that, I take some meetings as well, and scheduling everyone's on the sales team's calls as well. So I'll basically have that between then and about 6, 7, and then go to gym around 7. Um, that's usually just around about my first meal is about 5 or so, and
Five
everything
in the
before
evening.
that is, yeah. I mean, I have like snacks in between, kind of.
Okay.
When I say snacks, I have protein soup, which is the strangest thing you'll find. It's like 2 liters of hot water with sweetener plus, but there's protein cake inside. So it's like, the protein mug cake thing. It's
Yeah.
basically that broken down with 2 liters of water. So
Is
depends on
this
my body
like
type.
is this like a European thing or is this a you thing?
No, it's just a me thing. I've never
Okay.
heard this before. So it's just like, how much liquid can I have with my protein cake thing? That's the only thing I before my thing. And then of course my faster digesting carbs before training. And then post that will be my next meal. And then yeah,
I'm
next
still
half my
fascinated. I'm still fascinated. But okay, all I want to see when this podcast release, I just want to see a story of just this juice. Now that's all I want to see.
It's the strangest thing that you'll probably find, to be honest. But yeah, no, it's like I can get my liquids in. If it's cold, it warms me up so I can actually be more productive. And yeah, no, I basically have everything optimized for productivity, really. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's like, how many hours can I squeeze out of my day possible? So yeah, this is one of those things that helps. Everything that fills me up above 70-80%, I read something on humans thing, made sense as well. Drives more blood to the stomach instead of the brain, so everything after that slows me down. So
Yeah.
um yeah, and then after that is next kind of part of my day is more gym, 1 or 2 meetings, maybe sort out stuff with the content team, and then have that posted, and then um spend time with my girlfriend as well. So go for dinner or whatever it is, and then real life stuff, and then if I can, like get some more work done before the AM hours kind of things, if I can, and then sleep a bit. So yeah,
Mate, that's fucking insane. Holy shit.
yeah.
Like
I just yeah.
I I don't know what, like when I'm doing cardio in the morning, I kind of just write up these kind of morning kind of thoughts things just on my note section. And everyone wants this thing called balance, right? Everyone wants balance, but the problem is no one's earned the right to deserve it. And
Mm.
I generally believe that you have to earn the right to have balance. A bit like when people are like, oh, I want to get in shape, but I don't want to track my calories. I'm like, well, you have to track them to earn the right to not track them. It's kind of the same sort of thing. It's a bit like anything. I feel like you're because you're young as well, like you're earning the right now to have more balance later on in your life because you're putting in the groundwork now. Yeah, that means 5 years doing uni, then take, like you said, you're going to take a gap year, right? You're going to take a year out and things like that. I'm like, only because you've earned the right to take that year out as well because of the fucking days you do. I think, I don't know, I'm getting a little bit more pissed off with humanity in general at the moment. Just because I think everyone's just so entitled. They're like, they work hard for a week, and I'm like, fucking serious? Like,
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
like work hard for months and years, then go on your holiday. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think just hearing like how your day's set up and vice versa, like having time for your partner and stuff like that as well is insane, man. So honestly, like I knew. The nice thing is, guys, that I didn't we spoke back and forth on messages, but I actually we don't know each other really massively before this podcast. And I knew that you were a hard worker, and I knew, because obviously you don't do what you do by becoming a hard worker. I didn't even know you were at med school. So that, on top of that, I was like, fuck. Mate, honestly, fair play, because everything you're doing now, you deserve in the future as well, man. So that's just more of a pat on the back. So that's sick, man. Amazing.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. No, I agree. I agree. Thank you. And honestly, I agree with you completely around the delayed gratification around people's expectations and their views on societal standards for balance or work-life balance. And it's like, I don't think it's many people's, if you're trying to do something that's not in line with what's actually standard in society, which is a standard, go to university, get a 9 to 5 job, and then work until your retirement. If that's not what you're actually aiming to achieve, then it makes sense that what you need to do to get to that point where you can break free from societal standards has to have your own meanings of balance for yourself. And that comes at the cost of sacrifice as well. I'm not going to pretend that, everything was smooth sailing upwards. And as you can imagine, every single thing that could have possibly gone wrong in every area of my life is or has done. So yeah, that's, you learn as you do the same thing again and again consistently forever. So it's like yeah, I'm not gonna lie, it's every area that I feel is going well right now has at a point been very, very rocky. So it's like it's just like, how many times can that happen for you to still be okay with learning what to change in your life, basically? So it's I think there's a lot of collapse that can happen where it's the whole giving up side of things as well can come across many, many times. So it's, yeah, I understand completely what you
Yeah,
mean
man.
around.
Like, the nice thing, like, we can both sit here and be like, we have probably every week we're like, I'm fucking done. I'm fucking over
Yeah.
it. Like every week we have the same thing. Same with training, same with business. I'm like, no more. I'm gonna quit. But there's something in you that just doesn't. And that is the quote unquote, that is where your results, your success lies. Is just, it's nothing fancy. Like, it's just repetition, getting better at those reps and fine-tuning those reps. It's a bit like anything. Like, someone goes like, oh bro, how'd you build a big chest? I'm like, flies and an incline press. Like, and then you just get very good at flies and an incline press. A bit like business. I like, people overcomplicate business sometimes. It's like, well, how do I do this? I'm like, have a very good service, have a very good product, have a very good customer service, have a very good kind of like community, and make sure you get people in your world so you can have opportunities to sell off them. That's kind of it. And then from that point, you fine tune things. And that's obviously definitely, mate, it's definitely where you're at now. It's the scaling side of things is impressive. It's absolutely amazing. This is a selfish thing because I know that you are a bit of a genius when it comes to social media. So I've heard. What is kind of like, this is more like a brief thing, because we know that social media is taking a bit of like, it's making dramatic changes to kind of how it runs and all that sort of stuff nowadays. Obviously, it used to be more so like, it used to be easier, quote unquote. It used to be a lot easier to kind of get these things, and now it's making content creators and people that are using the platform, it requires them to do certain things, and it's making more of an impact instead of probably causing more. It's probably been that whole mental health thing, right? It's probably been like, they've realized that there's damage in a sense, so they're trying to change the concept of it so that it's more not likes and not like Gucci shit everywhere, like all that kind of bling bling. So now you kind of have to earn your right to see the content itself, for people to see that. What's kind of like, because obviously a lot of coaches and a lot of business people kind of tune into this podcast, things like that. What's 3 kind of major changes you've seen on kind of general platforms in this year, sort of thing?
Yeah, that's a really good question, actually. So, in terms of what's actually changing, it's algorithms as well. So it's that's basically how I managed anything with social media, is just studying that. Luckily, got invited to a call with Meta's creative team
Oh, cool.
narrative which they basically broke down a lot of stuff as well with myths and stuff. So honestly, the changes have been based on algorithms based on individual accounts. So it's actually not like a copy paste method where it's like, this is what works for everyone, where, you know, short form work, reels work for everyone, or photos work for everyone. It's actually based on the account itself. But in terms of changes, of course, there's a heavy push into short form. Instagram is most likely going to have a serious basically push into the whole growth side of things around creators, and they want to take over TikTok, and they're doing everything they can possibly do. So there's a lot of small things in terms of what's changed. So first things first, no mention of TikTok at all anywhere, but TikTok's a brilliant testing platform where you can literally spam as much as you want with whatever you think is going to do well by research of what's actually going well for other people. Remake that, recreate that, and then posting around 3-4 times a day on there. It's something where you can actually get some serious feedback as to what's going to work. Post the one thing that goes well on Instagram. Instagram's a lot more about quality over quantity. But in terms of quantity itself, the whole consistency thing that people love pushing isn't the case. They actually don't want you spamming Instagram in terms of being consistent. What consistent is for Instagram is the consistency of flow with your posting. For example, if you post 3 times a week, every single week, they want you to do that every single week instead of take a week off and then post 3 times and then post 8 times a week the next week. That's what actually builds up your likingness for them, to the algorithm, basically. And same thing, if you post 7 times a week, then it's about sticking to that as well. So it's consistency is definitely about that. In terms of short reels and algorithm carousels posts, photos carousels do better in terms of ranking on the explore page. Reels itself are generally better if you're testing on organic and you're kind of trying to build that up and scale that. But there's a lot of smaller things with the video itself. Shorter videos are going to be the best for you to find out exactly what's going to take off in terms of a theme or topic that relates to your audience. You can build on that again and again with long form, but if you don't test that with short form again and again on TikTok before you post on Instagram, see if that goes well to build long form around, it's very easy to set yourself up for failure with just posting stuff that people don't actually want to hear about. Or when I say don't want to hear about, that they don't want to share to other people for it to go viral or for you to actually grow. So that's one of the main things.
Damn, that's so it's kind of, obviously I've heard the things that like how divided, like even if you talk about TikTok, even if you put links and things like that, Instagram will punish you, quote unquote punish you for things like that, because they're really trying to divide themselves from it. So I guess kind of TikTok's almost like, it's kind of like old school Instagram, isn't it? But like how it used to be, just like you post something, fucking gets crazy stuff. So I think I've never heard of someone saying it like a testing platform more than anything, I guess.
I think it is 100%. Because like, keep in mind the audience that you're garnering on TikTok isn't actually solidified, as in, because everything is ranked on individual posts. The actual audience itself you're building isn't in your ecosystem kind of thing. So it will only get pushed out to a certain percentage of your audience before it gets pushed out again and again. Instagram's moving towards that, but there's a lot higher percentage of your audience that will see your actual posts again and again. So
it's weird. I don't know if it's a positive or a negative. I've lost, it was not much, I lost like 100 followers over the space like 3 weeks sort of thing, but I can't work out if that's good or bad. You might be able to tell, because I'm like, is it good because it's people that don't want to see my shit, so they unfollow, so that's fine. But then does that mean then I have more quality people that are going to be watching, so less but more people watching it? Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I don't think it's a bad thing to lose followers. It's like a very normal thing that happens. I mean, if you want to know, like when we grew about on Instagram, like the 150K or so in like the first 3 or 4 months, at the same time when that was going up, I think net loss in followers was also about 30-40K. And even to this day, it's always like a gaining and losing like thousands or in a day, where it's always gaining thousands and then losing hundreds as well. And then that was when it's growing, it's always going to be a matter of losing as well. But at the same time, right, as bad as it sounds, like those people who followed or interacted with your page still get built into your actual engaged audience or visited audience or interacted audience, which you can still technically retarget with ads. So
yeah,
so,
true.
yeah, so like we had about 14-15 million impressions on the past 3 months. So it's every single one of those people can technically be retargeted. Our CPL is technically quite very, very low. So our cost per lead is very, very low. So
Yeah. Where do you get most
that,
your are you because obviously seeing your stuff, I don't know if you use LinkedIn, I don't know if you use YouTube and things. I can imagine you do because you're pretty vast, but where do you spend most of your time as the business, if that makes sense?
yeah, so I don't think many people know this either, but like we have like a pretty large women's base, which is actually on TikTok, it's larger than my base and more engaged, which is a big source of this. But my main IG, we run ads, LinkedIn. Also, we are playing with a bit. I brought into one person to build up 2 or 3 more accounts for our coaches as well. So we have about three on LinkedIn now. I think we have TikTok, my main TikTok, women's Facebook group, two women's profiles, which I am majority holder of. So with the profiles as well, and the the IG pages as well. So, and then what you do really well is emails. With consistency of emails, I think that's a really, really good place to keep your audience nurtured. We've got a large email base which you just don't use, and YouTube I plan to go into. So
yeah, YouTube's a tricky one, man. Like, I love the idea of vlogging and I love the idea of it. It's quite time consuming in a sense.
yeah,
A long form content, I do think it's very valuable. But honestly, that's kind of the reason I do these podcasts, to be completely honest, because like it's a way to kind of obviously put YouTube videos out, quote unquote, but also like, mate, these podcasts are selfish for me. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's my time to bring on someone that I generally think that I'm going to learn from, that is impacting my life, and that in a selfish way that I can take knowledge from as well. And then obviously those people that I bring on, I'm not going to bring people on that are like shit. So hopefully then that person can impact others as well. So podcasting's nice and it's pretty easy, man. Like, this, we just stuck it on record and you just chat, right? It's super chilled. And like for me, I'm like, okay, cool. So I know like more about Instagram now and all that sort of stuff. And I know about your life and things like that. It's a nice way just to sit and kind of just go over stuff as well. It's amazing. But no, honestly, it's crazy. So I guess kind of like for you, so you've got 6 months left of uni now, so med. What's the plan after that, man? Obviously, I know you're gonna come to the Dubai at the end of the year and things like that. What's kind of what's your year gap looking like? You got a year off, buddy. What are you doing?
yeah, so I'm looking into properties in Dubai right now. So that's the main thing right now. Just sorting stuff out with my accountant and having business registered there. That's Charlie's helping me with a few of those things. So and then after that, it's really going to be about like a real heavy push into the business side of things. So it's like if I regain 100% of my focus into one thing, I just want to see how far that actually goes, because I wouldn't be able to live with myself if I was like, okay, I had this opportunity and I let it slip. So, which is why I still do everything now with the amount of intensity kind of thing that is needed. So that's the plan. That's the plan. Like move to Dubai, actually scale the podcast side of things as well. As something I started when we were in Dubai as well. So when we met in Dubai as well.
Yeah.
So that was something I filmed a fair few episodes with. Just haven't started posting too much of that just yet. So that's the main goal, and then see where life takes us, I guess.
Amazing. Is your girlfriend at med school and things like that?
No, she's not. She has her own business here, so it's been around a lot longer than mine's brick and mortar, so it's basically in person. But yeah, no, that's the plan. Hopefully, she will be moving out as well. So
Okay,
yeah,
how does
she's a
what does how does she? Because obviously for her, is it in person what she does?
yeah. So she has like a factory and an actual office and real life stuff. So yeah, so
Yeah,
it's
that's cool. So I
yeah,
guess,
they've been
and then
around for
she
like
she
8 years.
wants
So
to. Oh damn, a long time.
yeah, it's quite successful. So
Oh shit, what is it? Can you share what it is? What she does?
yeah, it's like a windows and blind systems business. So it's like technically I take it for windows and blind systems. So they have factories and workers who build stuff for bigger like industrial buildings and
Whoa, okay,
that
cool.
kind of stuff. So interesting. This, yeah, no, it's yeah, no. Apparently, it's very sought after. Would never have guessed, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, that would be fucking good in Dubai as well, to be fair.
Yeah.
So if she
Yeah, I
can
think
start to like tap into stuff here as well, that'd be crazy. But no, good on her. And she wants to move out here with you and things like that.
yeah, I think she's exiting. Just planning on selling
Oh
the
wow,
business and
cool.
stuff. So yeah, and then yeah, she's an MUA as well. So it's like that's me classes as well. So that's something she wants to do. So we'll see. Actually, we'll see. It's a difficult thing to kind of figure out as well, I guess, from her end. So it's we'll
Yeah,
see.
man. Like I can't even fathom that. I can't imagine. I don't know. I guess it's different when it's like for me, like my coaching business is still like me, if that makes sense. Like, so I can't imagine ever selling that, if that made sense. But like, if I had a company in a sense that it was socks, like, do you know what I mean? That's
Yeah,
not attached to me, I'd be like, yeah, sick. Like, I could potentially sell that. So I guess, but also
yeah.
it's like her baby, right? Like, she's built this and it's like 8 years more of her life. So you're like, having that detachment is hard, I can imagine.
I would think so too, but it sounds to me like she's absolutely sick of it. I can't imagine. I can't imagine this either as well. Like, but I think that's because ours is online, personal brand kind of thing,
Hmm,
whereas hers is like heavily outsourced. So it's like a lot of it's for just admin management kind of thing. So it's
true.
at that point when you've scaled it to that point, I can imagine where it's just like I'm out. Like where's the next opportunity kind of thing.
Yeah.
Um, because yeah, no, it's very, very sellable. Very, very. They've got a serious amount of uh, good assets in the business as well. So it's yeah, and then we will make the move, I guess, hopefully to Dubai. And she's at uni as well. So actually, I've completely forgot she's doing economics at uni, so she's finishing up this as well. So
Is she older
um,
than you or younger than you or same age?
she's 2 years older. Yeah,
Because
yeah.
how old are you? You're your early 20s, aren't you?
I'm 24. Yeah, she's 26. Yeah.
Oh, mate,
So
fair
we've lived.
play. Well done, punching. Good job.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, we've lived together for a fair few years, and it's everything that you can imagine that comes up with time around time spent on this and this and allocation of time going places, arguments from it's all come up. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's a long process. So
But I guess
yes,
that's the nice thing when you're kind of, I guess, because how long have you been together for as well?
2.5, 3 years now. So
Yeah, 100%. You're still
a
getting
bit.
the bugs out of the system. Do you know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
like
yeah,
learning each other, learning all this sort of stuff, right? Let's get all this shit out of the system so we can make our
yeah.
future a lot easier with our relationship as well.
Exactly, exactly. I mean, you guys have been together for a fair bit now, haven't you?
Yeah, like 2 years, and then there was kind of like a break in between and things like that. So like still early doors, man, 100%. So you're still learning the individual and like learning each other and stuff like that. Um, it's definitely different when you're living with someone as well. You're like, what's that? I remember my mom saying that, like, you don't know someone till you live with them. And I'm like, that's very true as well.
Yeah, 100%.
But
Yeah,
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 it's just, I think it's just sometimes it's hard because we're so fucking selfish. And like, for example, if I have to train legs and it's on a Tuesday, I'm like, I'm right. Monday, I have to be like, right, as soon as I come back from training, the day gets organized with work. I need to be in bed by this time because I need to make sure I have a good training session the next day. So, like, sometimes it's like you need to sometimes like just be like, don't be like a dick. Do you know what I mean? Like, is it
Yeah.
really that much of a big deal if like you spend an extra 10 minutes having a conversation with someone and stuff like that? Like, I think obviously for you, like your growth is far superior than I could ever imagine, sort of thing. But like sometimes you have to pinch yourself and be like, this has only been since COVID. Do you know what I mean? And it's not that long. So like if this has happened in 3 years, that businesses don't grow this fast. Do you know what I mean? Normally, like this is like you're achieving phenomenal things. And only because you made it happen as well. But it's like sometimes like if you've been progressing at 5% for the last 3 years, you're like, it's okay if the next 3 years just scales at 2%. Do you know what I mean? Because that's a healthy growth phase. And sometimes you have to think, I have to think that with like relationships as well. And I'm like, actually, like at the end of the day, like I could have a shit day with work and shit day with all this sort of stuff, but like the people around you and the people that are going to be in your life that you see for the rest of your life, that's more important. Like we can sort this business shit out in an hour, in 10 minutes, it's fine. I think just being very present with stuff is something that I've learned definitely over this year.
It's hard. I know. I completely understand. It's so difficult. It's something I'm working on 100% still. Like it's probably I would say probably my biggest um deficit. I reckon just actual energy allocation to things outside of work slash business, everything else in life. So it's yeah, it's one of those things, right? And then it's like you try and tell yourself that you have boundaries which you're not going to cross around exactly this
Yeah.
is, and then it's real life as well. So it's kind of have to basically fix
It's
yourself kind of thing as well. So yeah.
Yeah, man. It goes back to the whole thing of balance, isn't it? There's going to be sometimes like, yeah, there might be a week we can have more balance. And the next month we can't, sort of thing. And that's just how it works. It's like I'll always, because I'm still obviously very kind of big into competing and things like that still. Like, and I'm like, right now, off season, yep, I'll stay up a little bit later. I'll do this sort of stuff. But for example, if I'm 20 weeks out, as soon as that kind of number goes and that day starts, like that's it. It's fucking robot mode for 20 weeks. Um, so then it's just kind of knowing when to push and pull in a sense with all things of life. Same for you, like like your days are crazy. It's like actually like I do need to make sure I get 4 hours sleep instead of 3 hours sleep tonight. Let me just chill out for an hour, sort of thing. But
Yeah.
mate, we're still making these mistakes and we're still learning from them, and we'll continue to do it for the rest of our life, no doubt.
Yeah. I don't think there's ever going to be a point where it's just absolute like perfection around life in
Oh,
general.
no.
If it is, I would imagine that's like a miserable place to be as well. Like it's like when
Yeah,
you feel like you figured it out, that means you're probably not growing. And I feel
yeah.
as soon as you start growing, it's where you can get the most in your own head around what what could happen, should happen, kind of for me, anyways. Right.
No,
So
mate,
it's yeah,
I fully agree. I almost get scared if things are good.
yeah, me
I'm
too,
like,
me
oh,
too.
they're good because now something bad's gonna happen, so I have to be prepared for something bad, or vice versa. You just make it bad. You're like, right, like, how can I make this harder? How can I cause a
Yeah.
fucking issue?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. No, 100%. Like it is absolutely horrible at times where you feel everything's going 1,000 miles per hour when it shouldn't do, and it's just like tasks that need to be done kind of thing, and it's so hard to remind yourself and kind of switch off as well. Very hard.
oh,
So yeah, learning process, I guess.
that's it, man. That's it. So I guess
Yeah.
um it's pretty straightforward for you. And normally you're like, okay, what's the future looking like for you? But you're gonna kind of wrap up uni, wrap up that sort of stuff, and then obviously kind of get yourself stable, things like that here, look at and then obviously blow up even more. And then obviously,
Yeah.
do you ever think you wouldn't go back to medicine? Or are you quite determined that you carry on with it, sort of thing?
That's a good question. I mean, that's a very good question, actually, honestly. Because there's a lot that I can do in medicine with working as a doctor is not necessarily one of those things, right?
Yeah.
Because technically, if I have a clinic, I can hire out 3, 4 doctors, 4 or 5 doctors, and then it's just a matter of the same thing. It's just building another business, right? Where
Yeah.
I feel that the amount of people I can help with what I feel my skill sets lie right now would be extremely limited if I was solely working as a doctor for
Yeah.
12 hours a day and can reckon my entire day and time allocation kind of thing as well. But at the same time, I think with England as well, you have to do about 1 or 2 years of foundation junior doctor stuff.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's just going to be a grind for a bit, I guess, and then
Yeah.
see how much I can remove myself from the business between now and that, so I can
Yeah.
focus really.
Yeah, I think definitely like
That's it.
I can't imagine, well, I know that you'll never sit and be a general practitioner, right? We like in the UK we call them GPs. So they're just
Yeah.
like, if you've got like a sore foot, you go see a GP and they just put a plaster on it and they tell you to take some painkillers and send you home. So I can't
Yeah.
imagine you ever doing that. And I think the way that the knowledge that I guess the knowledge that you have on kind of socials and the knowledge that you've learned building a business and stuff, I think you're so right, where you can be like, sometimes you can just use your doctorate in a sense. You can be like, doctor, da, da, da. You can use that as more powerful to impact over the world. Like, I remember there was a doctor that went on like Love Island or something like that.
Not
And
trying to.
yeah, that's it. And he blew up, right? He blew up on like socials and things like that, going over mental health and things like that. I can see that more being what you do in a sense. Um, Kind of using your skills, your knowledge, your education, but also on a larger scale.
Yeah, I agree. So it's most likely going to be a case of, people like certainty in who they trust. So I think being a doctor gives you authority in that. And I don't think people should trust me because I am a doctor. It's more because of the research I've done in the
Yeah.
nutrition space for the past 6, 7 years, in the health space as well, with endocrinology, pharmacology as well. That's something I studied myself personally before I even started medicine. So yeah, that's most likely where I feel where I can also help people most as well. What the main plan was is to actually open up my own TLT clinics in the States and then
Okay.
scale that as a franchise, not as a franchise, as a
Yeah.
basically with one location, and then about hopefully scale up to as many locations in the States as possible. So
Yeah.
that's where I've probably studied the most as well in endocrinology as well. So
What can you? What is that for someone that doesn't really know what it is?
it's simplified the study of hormones. So it's basically everything that you can think of to do with hormones, health as well. So
Yeah.
yeah, basically, and pharmacology, the actual medicine side of things as well, the actual drug side of things. That's probably where I studied a lot more into that space, even before the nutrition side of things as well, before I went in heavy into both. They
Mm.
play hand in hand. So that's where
Damn.
I went heavy
That's
into it.
that's cool, man. That's insane. Nah, man. Honestly, like your vision is very clear. It's very
I,
clear. For someone your age, is pretty insane to have that vision, which is insane.
it's,
And inspiring. It's nuts. I just know now when I get my next bloods done, I'll just send them to you.
you can't
But like, how do
do.
these look, man? And you're like, oh, not so hot, buddy. Not so hot. We need to sort this shit out.
Can do, yeah, 100%. Yeah. No, I got lucky as well. I got invited into research groups in the States for this like 5 years ago, because I did the same thing. I was just reaching out to every single doctor in that space I knew. And then a lot of people turned out were interested in mentoring me in that space as well. So I got
Always
lucky, I would say. Yeah.
amazing. No, the thing is, lucky. Like you reached out. It's only lucky to reach out.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just like, how much do I want to know? What do I need to do to find that information? Who knows it kind of thing. So it's like yeah, and then just everything I researched as well after that. So
Damn. Honestly, bud, I could feel like I could talk to you for fucking ever. This is insane. But I don't want to keep too much of your time because you are a very busy man. But a little bit of a tradition on this podcast is obviously the 1%. So what is that one thing that you can tell someone who's going to listen to this podcast, that one thing, that 1% that's going to take someone one step further forward to tomorrow, what would that be?
Remove fear from the equation. What would you be doing right now that got you to your dream outcome? And what are you currently not doing every day that would be pushing you further towards that goal? If you can ask yourself that question and answer that every single morning and actually take the actions that are needed to actually get there, then that is what you need to be doing every single day right now. So that's probably what I would say.
Amazing, man. I think this is episode 66 and no one said that, so it's cool. No, man, honestly,
Awesome.
absolutely amazing. And also, if anyone wants to stalk you, find out more about you and things like that, where's the best place to kind of find you in a sense?
Probably my Instagram, my main Instagram, Azri.Zakariya. So AZRI.ZAKARIYA. It's my Instagram.
Sick, guys. I will attach all your, I'll even put all your LinkedIn's, your YouTube's, your Instagrams and stuff like that. I'll put those all in the bios and stuff like that, obviously, of YouTube. And obviously, I don't even know where this podcast goes. It goes on like an audio thing somewhere. It's like at Spotify, Apple, all that sort of stuff. So I'll drop it onto
Yeah.
there, guys. But yeah, honestly,
Cheers.
like insane. Thank you so much for your time, buddy. It's been absolutely insane.
No, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you. And have a great rest of your day as well.
Will do, man. Will do.